Good morning, this is Charlie. We are working on our third signature that will go on to page 2 in our album. This is what I chose for my base page, and it is going to measure at 9 1/4 inches across and 8 1/4 inches in height. The height will be the measurement throughout when we're dealing with anything that has to do with height measurements. What I'll be providing will be the necessary width measurements and their score lines. So starting off with the left side panel, you're going to cut a piece that's going to measure at 5 1/4. You're going to score it at 1/2, and then you're going to score it at 5/8. So that will go here. On your right side panel, you will cut one that is 5 3/8, scoring at 1/2 and scoring at 5/8. So let's go ahead and get these put in. I have to put some tape real quick on the hinge here, so let's get that in there. All right, so I'll come back to that. I just want to go ahead and get this in here. So I'm bringing my paper. Actually, I have trimmed this a bit too tall. I have to trim this down. My apologies. I do this a lot, and I've discovered a great deal of what my problem is. I'm dealing with two different cutters. They're both from the same company, but one of them is off by 1/8 of an inch. I did reach out to them, and at my expense, I can send back the cutter and they will test it. It's not worth it to me. I just have to remember that I have to allow for that. It's embarrassing and a bit frustrating. If I use my paper trimmer, I rip through blades so quickly with this 100-pound cardstock. So I bet I'm going to have to do that with this one as well. Yeah, so bear with me. I have learned that when I'm using my big rotary trimmer for my cardstock, that I actually have to start measuring when I need to do anything that's 1/8 of an inch. I haven't tested it yet to see if I'm off on the 1/4 or if I'm off on the 1/2 inch. I'm a little afraid to, because that's a lot of marking. Okay, let's see, where did it go? I'm going to turn this over, and then I'm going to rescore this. I had scored these previously for a different album, so I have a score line here that I've got to try and stay away from. All right, so let's get this back inside here. I have created a long pocket. If you're following the cuts along with me, you might have this piece in your scrap. I'm using it as a pocket. I think it's very beautiful and elegant. And on my pocket, I did use a metal die, ran it through my spellbinders, and cut an floral edging. The actual pocket itself is 3 1/8 inches. And then this is about a 1/2 inch die. it's actually bigger than that, but I don't like these holes here at the bottom. So I always use it short, closer to the floral. Now, if you don't have metal dies that will cut this, you can certainly use a paper punch. You could also be using some lace, and maybe you are, or nothing at all. Take this right up to the paper edge. And then I'm going to glue this in. So that is complete. You have a nice pocket. You have room here for some photos. Now I did use the 12 by 12 sheet. I'm probably going to have to trim these to cut for these two panels. So let's see, I'll do a dry fit and see if I have to do some trimming. I do. I've got to take these down about almost 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to re-ink. And let me look at this one real quick. I just want a hair off of this. Okay, excuse the reach. Okay, so we'll get these glued in. Now, I'm not providing the measurements for this paper because I always do a cut to fit. So everyone has a different eye when it comes to how much of a white border they want to see. So you might want it to be bigger, thicker. Now, in your cut-aparts, there is this, we're getting right down to the tailings here. This is a image that I fussy cut. I cut around and mounted it on to cardstock, and I'm going to use it as a tuck. Now I'm putting the handle to the inside of the seam so that when you put something in here that it's coming in behind the biggest part of the base. The handle is a weak point, so I'm going to put it here on the inside rather than it going over here on this side. Okay. And now we'll get this glued in. There are just some stunning images on this collection. Okay, so I want that. And then for over here, I cut out one of the oval images, inked it, and then I backed it on some cardstock, and I'm going to make it a tuck as well. Roll back some of that excess tape. And I'm just going to put it here at the bottom, about 1/4 of an inch up. So that is how this spread will finish out. So now I'm going to close this. And what I have here, this sheet has a long alphabet banner across the bottom. So I cut right at the top of that banner, and then I cut left to right because I wanted to make sure that I had enough room here for this image. And then I cut right to left, so there was a piece kind of left over in the center. If I had cut it the same way, I would be way over here on the butterfly, and I did not want to do that. Open this off contrast so I can see where I'm laying this. I could trim that down a little bit, but I'm not going to worry about it now because I glued it. Now for this piece here, I used my die cutting machine, my Spellbinders Platinum, and a round die. It did take 2 different sets of dies, one to cut this image because it fit perfect, and then had to go to a different set in order to get one that gave me just a thin. It's interesting that in these nesting dies that you go from one size to the next, you can end up with a piece that's twice as large, and I don't want that for my image. So I have several die sets where I can float in between them and get the size that I want. But I'm going to put the clock right down here so that I have a nice little tuck. Now I need to I need to trim this. This is my big rotary trimmer. I don't want to give up on it. I do need to trim that down. I just probably have to make myself a note on the trimmer, mindful of it being off. Okay, get rid of that little ink the bottom of this again. And then I'm going to glue Okay, so that's going to go here. Now I'm going to check this piece. Well, this one, I'm okay on the height, so I must have used my actual paper trimmer. All right, so for your left side, you are going to have a piece that is going to measure 8 inches. You're going to score it at 1/2, and you're going to score at 3/4. So that's going to go here on the left side. And then this piece here, I didn't get that glued down very well, did I? And then this piece here is going to measure at 5.5, scoring it at 1/2 and scoring it at 3/4. I need this 3/4 inch gusset, as I've stated in previous videos, because I've done a build up here and I need a deeper gusset to absorb what was built in. So I'm going to go ahead and get this mounted, and I'm coming right on top of that. I forgot to put tape. I'm going to come right on top of that 3/4 inch score mark, so that when I go to fold the paper over, or the flap over, that it is cleanly absorbing what I built up over here. And now we're going to do the same with this side. You can see how the gusset fills up because of the flaps underneath. And then I'm just going to make sure that's sitting on there properly. Fold that all the way over. Some good burnish there. Now we're going to put a magnet, so I've already got this side set. I'm going to take the backing off my magnet, and then I want to make sure that my gussets are up straight, they're not folding in, and that the top and the bottoms match before I place the magnet. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and tape in this side because I've got a magnet underneath. A little bit of tape here in the center. And what I'm watching for over here is I want to be to the inside of this score line. Ooh, oh, I'm sorry. That hurt my teeth. Deeply apologize. Let's see if we can do that with, not do that again. All right, so this is what we have here so far. In your fussy cut sheet, there is this image, so I carefully cut around it, inked it, and then I mounted it back on some 100-pound cardstock. I've taped across the bottom. I'm going to use this image as a tuck for over here. Get that excess tape tucked away. And I'm just going to center it. I think this is such a sweet, pretty little image. And then over here, on that sheet that has the alphabets, on the reverse side, you will find this image. It is the name of the collection we're playing with. I cut around that image, I've inked it, and I've put it on cardstock, and I'm going to use it as a tuck down here. Roll the tape images in there. And if you haven't cut this piece yet, I always cut the bottom off because this is what, to me, lavender looks like. If you cut top down, lavender to me doesn't look like this. It looks like this, so that's why I've cut it that way. All right, so now this is the layout for in here, and then I'm going to leave this open. You're going to find an image, leave it open and I end up closing it again. You're going to find an image that has this on it. So I cut it out so that I would have the majority of this image. And then I fussy cut this out. I had to be careful when I got down here around the lavender. I didn't want to chop that up too much. And I fussy cut out the butterfly. And then I mounted them on some 100-pound cardstock, recut, and then put some foam pop-ups so that there's a little bit of depth on this page. And then the clock, I cut it to fit on this side. And I do have to do some trimming on this because of the height change. And let's get this re-inked. I wonder if I'm going to have to do that on that bigger image. And I'm going to tape this because of a magnet, so if you'll hang in there with me. And a little dab here in the middle. I have to put the needle back in my glue tip here real quick, so I apologize here. There we go. Come on. Now we'll finish this. So when I got the images cut out, I went in with my ink and I inked the images so that I wasn't looking at a white edge, and that it would also, so that I don't have to trim that one, it would also complement and match up with this. So I'm going to tape around the edges, and then I'm going to glue around the openings, because I want those to stay down against the white cardstock. I don't want them puckering or buckling. Now, you do not have to fussy cut out that clock. You could choose maybe just to fussy cut the butterfly. It is a clock, lantern. It is entirely up to you. I fussy cut because I like to see some depth in my work, and it gives a different visual. I do sell my albums, and it helps with people enjoying what they're looking at. That's instead of it always being just a flat surface. Okay, let's get in and around here. Take this strip of tape off, and then I'm going to very carefully lay this down, hold it along the taped edge until I've got this where I want to see it on the edges. Perfect, that wasn't too. And then I'm just going to burnish in around the glued parts. And then I'll take off the rest of the tape. I'm going to set the butterfly first. I'm going to take these off camera so I can put them in my garbage can. I don't want them floating around on my work table, so bear with me. 2 shakes. All right. And then I'm just going to gently position it back where it was. I got a little bit of height going on there. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. I'll be right back in camera. Give me just a bit, a little bit more to take off on this piece. I realize it takes a lot of work to fussy cut some of these images, but like I said, I think it just provides such a different look. But it's entirely up to you if you want to do this. So for me, it looks like the lantern is standing out more in amongst the lavender. So this is, let's go, oh, I know there was one more thing I wanted to do. I have a metal butterfly I want to put right there. It's going to take some glossy accents to do that. Okay, let that set up just for a second. Doesn't take too long. So this is what we have. We've got some gorgeous tucks going on here. We have a tuck, we have a nice pocket with a floral trim, and then another tuck over here, leaving still lots of room. This would be a great spot for hand journaling or photos. So I'm going to turn it over, and we're going to get our tape to the back side so that we can mount this in our album. Before I get done here, I have been using this tool quite a bit. Julie from Scrap and Create, who I make these albums for to sell her paper items, she sent this to me to use, and and I had reservations, but I have absolutely fallen in love with this thing. If you're interested in it, I do have a link in the description field so that you can find it on her website. It's not very expensive at all. And it has sure saved, I have to do some temporary trim every once in a while, but it has sure saved the glue sticking to my scissors. All right, let's get the album. We're going to put this in here, and I will be turning it this way so I can see what I'm doing. Make sure my image is going the right way. I am taking my end gusset and I'm lining it right up with the end of that page, and then I'm going to make sure I'm laying it in here straight. All right, let's go ahead and get the rest of the tape off of here. Now, when you do this, you can pull all your tape if you want, but the point I'm going to make is make sure that when you commit these ends, that the gussets are standing up straight, that they're not slipping to one side or the other. You want a nice, beautiful end. And then I'll do the same on this inside here. Make sure that it is standing up straight when I commit the tape. Good old firm burnish. Okay, there we have it. That is your third signature for page 2 in the album, and we've got just 2 more to go. We'll be working on this one next. I'll see you then.